God's plan of salvation through His Son, Jesus. And God is offering to Mary a unique role in the unfolding of this plan.
One of the most venerated people in contemporary Catholicism, Luis Antonio Tagle, is facing an unprecedented and game-changing moment, and the world is humming with astonishment and bewilderment. This ultimate, unwavering verdict has changed his legacy, which was once cherished as a symbol of hope, forever. Where is the cherished cardinal now? For what reasons has this parting rocked the very core of religion and authority? In this exclusive interview, we will reveal the shocking backstory of the farewell that has left millions of people baffled. It is widely believed that Luis Antonio Tagle will be named the next pope, but there are a number of things that may alter that. Many people look to Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle as a possible choice to succeed Pope Francis, but his campaign for the papacy is fraught with difficulty. A number of things might work against him, despite the fact that he is a formidable competitor thanks to his charm, popularity, and years of expertise. His domestic record has come under fire, and he is seen as reluctant to take a stand on controversial topics like the relationship between the Vatican and China, among other things. New candidates have also emerged. Competition from other formidable contenders, especially Cardinal William Goh of Singapore, is one of Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle's greatest obstacles. As the Catholic Church moves away from its historically European character, Tagle and Goh represent the growing influence of Asia. But as an Anglophone with deep ties to an international audience, Cardinal Goh stands apart. He presents himself as a possible uniting candidate since he can appeal to a larger audience, including those on the more conservative side of the Church. Those looking for unity and stability may find Goh more appealing because of his capacity to bring people together. Conversely, Cardinal Tagle is associated with the more liberal wing of the Catholic Church. More specifically, he has spoken out in support of LGBT inclusion, urging people to be more empathetic and open-minded and to put a stop to divisive language. Pope Francis is a ray of hope for the modern, compassionate Church since his views are congruent with their reforming goals. But Tagle may find this strong progressive image to be an obstacle. There are those who will be really moved by it, but others who would rather have a leader with more mainstream, conservative support may be turned off. In the end, the interaction between the two cardinals is what makes the contrast so interesting. Goh stands for a moderate, conventional view with an eye toward the world, whereas Tagle personifies a daring drive for revolutionary change. This competition between these two people is illuminating because it reflects the Church's changing goals and identity as it searches for its next leader, who will likely decide whether the Church favors unity or reform. Nonetheless, Archbishop Luis Antonio Tagle's tenure drew criticism from a variety of sources. Disagreement arose about whether or not he was involved in party politics. His leadership of the clergy was accused by prominent Filipino magazines like the Manila Standard of allowing them to preach politically charged sermons and publicly criticize the administration of then-President Rodrigo Duterte. A lot of people were worried that these measures may violate the separation of church and state, which is a fundamental foundation of our Constitution, because they made it harder to tell the two apart. Tagle was accused of managing clerical misbehavior in addition to these political issues. His detractors said that he did not do enough to punish clergy members who had been accused of misconduct while in office. Concerns regarding his capacity to maintain accountability and discipline in the Church arose as a result of his seeming inactivity. These concerns are a stain on Tagle's leadership record, even if they may not matter much to the College of Cardinals. His defenders say the accusations are baseless and politically driven, but they give his detractors more reason to doubt his competence to lead the Church. These disputes make Tagle's legacy a contentious and complicated subject because they show how church leaders have to walk a fine line between their theological responsibilities and the constant demands of society and politics. Similarly, Cardinal Tagle's ambiguous stance, or lack thereof, on the Vatican's controversial pact with the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, is one of the biggest obstacles to his possible nomination. The accord, which aims to improve ties between China and the Vatican, has been heavily criticized. Some think it endangers the autonomy of Chinese Catholics and puts their social and spiritual needs at risk of government meddling. In an indirect capacity, Cardinal Tagle oversaw church affairs in China and Asia during his time as prefect for the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, currently named the Dicastery for Evangelization, from 2019 to 2022. His remarkable quiet on the implications of the Vatican CCP deal is bewildering, given the gravity of his position. Observers have compared this passivity to Pope Francis's stance, which detractors say is too tolerant toward Beijing. The prosecution of Cardinal Joseph Zen, a vocal opponent of the Vatican's pact with the CCP, has added gasoline to the fire of controversy surrounding this accord. Cardinal Zen's outspoken rejection of the deal and subsequent legal struggles have brought the Vatican's apparent unwillingness to openly back him into sharp focus. The Vatican's apparent lack of response has been strongly criticized by many church authorities, such Cardinal Gerhard Müller of Germany, who sees it as a betrayal of a fellow Christian during a difficult moment. The choice to keep silent by Cardinal Tagle, on the other hand, has led to suspicion and allegations of passive involvement. His detractors say that at a time when the moral authority of the Church is under risk, his leadership style and priorities are being called into question because he is avoiding dealing with this divisive topic. The ongoing discussions about the Vatican's relationship with China are certain to have a lasting impact on Tagle's legacy, but his decision to remain silent may also hinder his ambitions within the Church. Regardless of these circumstances, the likelihood of Tagle being named the next pope is higher. Now let's explore the specifics. Life on a global scale was profoundly affected by Cardinal Tagle's leadership, which extended well beyond the confines of the Church. He exerted tremendous effort as president of Caritas Internationalis to increase the organization's global influence and its impact on behalf of the poor and vulnerable. While he was at the helm, Caritas expanded its aid to more people in need and took on some of the most critical global issues. Global themes such as migration, poverty, inequality, and climate change were not avoided by Tagle. Instead of only talking about them, he became an outspoken supporter of equitable and long-term remedies. Justice, compassion, and support for individuals fighting for survival or inclusion were themes that ran throughout his life and the things he did. His steadfast dedication to environmental protection and social justice was the defining feature of his work. Rather than viewing these as independent causes, Cardinal Tagle saw them as interdependent missions. He exerted great effort to elevate the downtrodden, giving them a platform to express themselves and having their hardships acknowledged. Whatever he did, from advocating for equality policies to defending the inherent worth of every human being, had an impact. Those who had been overlooked or forgotten found solace in his voice, which served as a beacon of hope for many. True greatness is found in helping others, particularly the most vulnerable, and Cardinal Tagle's leadership exemplified this by showing the world how to lead with heart and purpose. In addition to changing people's lives, his efforts inspired others to take action, dream of a better future, and care about the plight of those less fortunate. Tagle dreams of a church that is inclusive, diversity-loving, and flexible enough to meet the challenges of our modern, ever-evolving world. His ideal community would be one that isn't content to only observe religious ceremonies, but rather actively participates in all aspects of contemporary life. An inclusive church, welcoming people of all walks of life and faiths, is central to his vision. Interfaith understanding and mutual respect are two of his most steadfast beliefs. Tagle thinks that talking things out can help people understand one another better. He seeks to encourage collaboration and togetherness by encouraging courteous interactions amongst individuals of various faiths, putting the focus on the things that unite us rather than the things that separate us. Instead of trying to eradicate diversity, his approach is to embrace it and use it to build bridges of understanding and compassion. The way Tagle uses contemporary resources to realize his ideas is quite astounding. His use of social media and other digital platforms allows him to communicate with people all around the globe. Through the medium of cell phones and computers, his words reach a large audience and have an impact beyond the confines of a church. For many, particularly the younger generation that finds its tribes online, his actions have brought the church closer to them and made it more approachable. Tagle makes sure the church is responsive and relevant through his unique approach. His work demonstrates that religious belief is not antiquated or unrelated to modern living, but rather, it can flourish and even expand in this technological day. His writings give us faith in a church that pays attention, grows, and adapts to a changing world. In his view, the church is more than a building for worship. It is a living, breathing community whose members share a common bond in their mutual love, compassion, and understanding. Faith, hope, and service are the everlasting strengths that Cardinal Tagle's life and writings so eloquently demonstrate. He appears to have a strong faith in God and a steadfast desire to help people at the core of his being. His forward-thinking perspective and heartfelt humility have made him an inspiration to millions across the world. Cardinal Tagle possesses an unmatched level of compassion as a leader. With compassion and wisdom, he tackles critical global concerns, brings solace to the hurting, and fights for equality and justice. He shows what a real shepherd should be by sticking up for the downtrodden, denouncing injustice, and comforting the grieving. The limitless power of unselfish devotion and unwavering faith is exemplified by his purpose. Cardinal Tagle's leadership is a beacon of hope in a dark and uncertain world. Love, kindness, and faith, he says, are more than just good qualities. They are powerful agents of change that can shape a brighter future. His deeds inspire people of all faiths and none to hold fast to optimism and strive for a more just and compassionate society. Cardinal Tagle left behind a legacy that goes beyond his accomplishments. It is a rallying cry. Leadership, as he exemplified throughout his life, is not about being in charge, but rather about putting others before yourself and showing compassion. His inspiring path shows that unfaltering faith and compassion for mankind can make a difference even in the face of fast change. The world is a community that needs healing, understanding, and compassion, and Cardinal Tagle encourages us to see beyond ourselves in his vocation. Not only is he an inspiration, but his tale shows how faith and service can bring people together for a better, more compassionate future. Luis Antonio Tagle's potential ascension to the papacy is starting to take shape. Could you tell me whether this is the case? Shall we discover? Divine intervention, meticulous deliberation, and geopolitical considerations have all contributed to the enigmatic and historically momentous process of choosing a new pope. Severe are wondering if Pope Francis is preparing Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle to succeed him in light of the severe internal and external crises that the Church is now facing. Since becoming Pope in 2013, Francis has stressed the need of a church that serves the poor and vulnerable, as well as inclusion and humility. The issue of who could carry on his vision beyond his transformational pontificate has been questioned. Cardinal Tagle, who was born in the Philippines, exemplifies many of the virtues that Francis promotes, including spirituality, tenderness, and a profound affinity for people. Pope Francis's reformist agenda is well aligned with Tagle's leadership style, especially at the Vatican and Manila. This makes Tagle a strong contender to carry on Francis's efforts on social justice and church governance. Tagle is a significant personality on a worldwide scale because of his charm and his ability to communicate effectively in the digital era, connecting with both believers and doubters. Although there are valid worries about Tagle's age and lack of expertise with large-scale administration, his leadership background and emphasis on teamwork make him a strong candidate to be the Church's next visionary leader. Regardless of whether Pope Francis publicly supports him or not, the stage is set for Tagle's ascent, which bodes well for a future in which the Church fully embraces its global character, and a leader such as Tagle might usher in a more relevant and united era for the Church. But tell me, what does his history entail? We should examine it more closely. Luis Antonio Tagle, better known by his nickname Chito than by his clerical title, was born on June 21, 1957, to Manuel Topacio Tagle, an ethnic Tagalog, and Milagros Gokim, a Chinese Filipino who had previously worked at Equitable PCI Bank. His parents were very devout Catholics. The history and culture of Tagle's family are interwoven like a tapestry. His grandpa Florencio was from Imus, Cavite, and was a member of the Principalia, a Christian elite from the Spanish lowlands who were prominent in society before to the Philippine Revolution of 1896. Sadly, Florencio was wounded by a bomb during Witu, and Tagle's granny had to manage a little cafe to support the family. Education and faith molded Tagle's formative years. His primary and high school education was finished in 1973 at St. Andrew's School in Parañaque. A desire to serve the church was kindled in him during these formative years by the example set by priestly mentors. Inspiring by these figures, Tagle enrolled in the Jesuit-run San Jose Seminary, which paved the way for him to attend the esteemed Ateneo de Manila University, renowned for its rigorous academic programs and strong spiritual foundation. In 1977, Tagle received a BA in Pre-Divinity from Ateneo. He then went on to Loyola School of Theology to get an MA in Theology. He spent 1987-1991 at Catholic University of America, earning a PhD in Sacred Theology, driven by his desire to delve more into theology. Joseph A. Comanchac, a famous theologian, guided Tagle as he wrote his dissertation on Episcopal Collegiality in the Teaching and Practice of Paul VI. In retrospect, Comanchac said that Tagle was one of the best students he had taught in more than 40 years, and that if he hadn't been called to episcopal duties, he could have become the foremost theologian in the Philippines or even Asia. Tagle attended the Institute of Pope Paul VI University for doctrinal courses, in addition to his academic accomplishments. Honorary degrees from prestigious universities like Catholic Theological Union and La Salle University attest to his extensive knowledge of theology and his significant services to the Church. Tagle is a multilingual man who is well-versed in his own language of Tagalog as well as English, Italian, Spanish, French, Korean, and Latin. His fluency in many languages is indicative of his profound mind and his capacity to forge connections with people from all walks of life throughout the globe. Rooted in his ancestry and beliefs, Tagle's life is a combination of modesty and genius. His remarkable path from a small child in Parañaque to a highly esteemed theologian and church leader showcases unwavering devotion, strength, and a deep sense of purpose in serving others. How does Tagle plan to advance in his chosen field? How is the trip going thus far? Now we will explore his professional background. A fascinating character, Luis Antonio Tagle was born around 67 years ago. His life embodies a combination of a rich background, profound religion, and commitment to service. He was born to Manuel Topacio Tagle, a native Tagalog, and Milagros Gokim, a former employee of Equitable PCI Bank and a fervent Catholic. His childhood was richer because of his multicultural background. At St. Andrew's School in Parañaque, Rizal, Tagle received his early education and graduated in 1973. He decided to follow in the footsteps of the priests he looked up to and enrolled at the Jesuit-run San Jose Seminary before continuing his education at the Ateneo de Manila University. His ordination as a priest on February 27, 1982, began a distinguished career in the Church. Tagle was assigned to the Department of Systematic Theology at Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. in 1985. During his time there, he achieved academic greatness, receiving a licentiate in Sacred Theology in 1987 and a doctorate summa cum laude in 1991. In 1992, he returned to Imus and took on several duties, demonstrating his dedication to helping people grow in their faith. These included becoming a member of the College of Consultors, the Presbyterial Council, and the rector of the seminary. When Tagle was appointed to the International Theological Commission in 1997, his reputation for theological competence went global. After a year, He was invited to the Synod of Bishops to serve as an expert witness before the Special Assembly for Asia. He was ordained a bishop on December 12th of the same year, 2001, and he was named Bishop of Imus on October 22nd. After 10 years, on October 13, 2011, he was appointed Archbishop of Manila, and he formally assumed leadership of the Archdiocese on December 12, 2011. Tagle's influence went well beyond the boundaries of his diocese. He oversaw the family's pastoral concerns and evangelization, while serving as President Delegate of the Synod of Bishops' Third Extraordinary General Assembly in 2014. Under his leadership, the 14th Ordinary General Assembly delved into the role of the family in contemporary society the next year. Tagle was a delegate to the historic conclave that chose Pope Francis in March 2013. Being a member of important Vatican congregations such as those for Catholic education, institutes of consecrated life, and the evangelization of peoples, allowed his influence to flourish. His life's work is a perfect synthesis of spiritual leadership, intellectual genius, and steadfast devotion to the worldwide Catholic community. His 2019 appointments include President of Caritas Internationalis and Prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples. As of 2020, he served as both Archbishop of Manila and Cardinal Bishop of San Felice de Cantalice. He assumed the role of Pro-Prefect of the Dicastery for Evangelization in 2022. He also assumed the roles of Grand Chancellor of Pontifical Urbaniana University and President of the Interdicasterial Commission for Consecrated Religion. Leave a comment telling us what you think. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it.